Hey people, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are staying well, staying safe, wherever you are. Okay, what we have here is 2 times the Asus Strix X57i gaming motherboards. These are the ITX boards basically. Now you're probably asking, why have I got 2? No, I'm not building 2 systems. This has already been pre-built with this board basically. Alright, it's working fine, but I'll explain to you why I've ordered the second one. Okay, so let me put this box to here so I can make a bit of a room. I've ordered the second board because there's a bit of a concern in terms of the AM4 socket basically. So let's get to it. Seems to be some sort of a deformation on the AM4 socket. So beautiful heavy board basically. Now, where is the deformation? There's a bit of a lump on the AM4 socket basically. Where you see that white patch there, here, just the tip of my finger. When I run my finger along the rest of the socket, it's perfectly fine until I come up here. And there's a bit of a roughness and a bit of a lump on that area. The one within that PC it feels a bit bad than versus this one. However, you can, when you run your fingers through, you can actually feel the lump in that area basically. Does it really matter? Not necessarily, but in terms of long-term reliability, what I don't want is this board to fail because of issues as such 6 months down the line basically, because there's a lot of nonsense in terms of when the item gets returned for under manufacturer warranty. And when I say nonsense, as in the time frame of getting it all dealt with basically. But I'll come back to that after. So 2 boards here, both have exactly the same problem. When you visually look at the board in an angle like this, you can actually see there's a slight imperfection on the socket itself. Now, looking at it under the microscope, I'll try my best. Let's just switch over to the microscope. Okay. All right, so under the microscope, what you actually can see is obviously this bit is a bit whiter, okay, versus the rest. But when you look at, when I'm talking about this lump, when you follow this line, you can actually just about make out the fact that the line just goes up and then slowly comes back down. And the area that I'm speaking that's affected is this area with this bit of a patch here, basically. When you look at the opposite side of this, the line is completely flat. So if you pay attention, you will notice. I'll keep the image as still as possible, and I'm hopeful that you can actually see the difference, basically. Okay. Otherwise, you can't see anything under that microscope. But when you visually inspect the board, you will find that there is a slight imperfection, and I hope that these boards are premium board. They're not cheap board. They're not £100 board, an £80 board. You're paying up to £300 for a board like this. So my first question is reliability and you know, and so on and so forth. So that's one thing to sort of bear in mind, and it needs to be considered quite carefully. The other thing is that what I've noticed is a bit of a marking on this board. I don't know whether if this is a customer return board or what, I don't know, but let's just show you this. This is the replacement one, what I've had off CCL online. Look at all these little markings, like a burnt type of mark, but it's not. It could be just the flow soldering stain that's left behind, basically. I might be just completely wrong here, but there are some markings there. There's a little mark here of whatever the sort. The other thing is that when you look at the screw, you can quite clearly see that this has been taken off, although the wrapping is on. And same here, this has also been taken off, but the thermal pad is not being used. I don't know if I can show you this. I don't think I will be able to. Yeah, you can just about make out the film that's on top of that, which says remove, is still intact. So I don't think that this may have happened in the factory basically while they're doing the testing or whatever it is. But I think that's about it really. So I'm going to give it a slight thingy, and just one other thing. Be careful here. These LEDs, you can actually show you something. See these LEDs? You can very easily knock off these little lenses that's on the top, on the front of the LED. So the LED die is here, and the lens are here, so that it distributes a wider, it can emit wide beam basically, or glow, whatever you want to call it. Be careful, because what I've had is the previous setup which I had was an Asus Strix Z570 motherboard, and sadly it became defective. Took it back to the retailer who I bought it from. It's a big retailer, multi-million-pound retailer, and they were making issues about the fact that the LED is broken, all this. I said, listen, LED is not broken, the lens has come off it, but the LED is still intact. Now I know what you're trying to do. Are you trying to fob me off by saying that it's out of warranty because it's been misused? Hell, it's not been misused, right? Okay. The way these lenses have been put in place, they can very easily break off, right? So it's just the type of LEDs they're prone to breaking, basically. You know, if all I've got to do is just put my nail and pinch one, and it'll just come off. That's just the way it is. The LED will not come off because I soldered onto it, but the lens will break off, basically. But even then the LED was still working. So I had a bit of a banter with them, and then they were supposed to refund it within 30 days. The turnaround was, they didn't fulfill that. It went over past 3 months, and I waited patiently because it was my own PC. It wasn't a customer's PC, and I also had a backup unit that I was working with. So during the process of 3 months, the board apparently has been back to Asus and back into Manchester, back into Asus, and it's been going backwards and forwards about 3 times, which I found it quite hard to believe, basically. Okay, so the initial problem was that the USB won't work on it. So at the end of the 3 month, I sort of amplified the situation. Actually, I ramped up. I stepped on the gas and said, right, okay, well, you got to deal with it, otherwise I'll come and have a chat with the boss man. And that's just the way it's going to be. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? Okay, there's no sign of misuse. There's nothing wrong with it, other than the fact that the USB is not working, and all you're making now is one, that the LED is damaged, and 2, that it's out of warranty. The board is covered under manufacturer warranty for up to 3 years, basically. Okay, but you're saying that it's 2 years, and when I looked on Asus website in UK, it's up to it's 3-year warranty. So then when I've gone back and challenged them on that, they've acknowledged the fact that they're not going to have an easy ride with me. So they've moved on to the LED, and you get it. They're just trying to fob me off, and that's not going to happen because I've been in the trade long enough basically to know what my statutory rights are. Coming back into warranty in the UK, what you need to understand is anything that comes with the 3-year warranty, for example, here, it's 3-year manufacturer warranty, not warranty through retailer, as you all know, basically. So just to recap our knowledge, that the warranty, within the first 28 days or 30 days, I believe it's 28 days, the retailer will honour if the item arrived dead on arrival, DOA, dead on arrival, or there is if it becomes defective within a course of a month, the retailer who you bought it from will honour a replacement, refund, or an exchange. Did I say exchange? I did. Yeah, replacement means exchange. I'm again a bit carried away here. Okay, so either a refund or an exchange, basically. Okay, after that, the item falls under manufacturer warranty. So the board will get sent off to Asus. You'll have to wait for about a month, and then if it's repairable, they'll repair it for you. If it's not repairable, send you a replacement one with a different serial number that doesn't match the box. That's how you know that it's a replacement item, a refurbished or replacement item that's been sent back to yourself. And CCL Online, don't get me wrong, they're big. I've started dealing with them now, and many other companies like Novatech and so on and so forth. But I've stopped using the one local to me, basically. Absolutely no chance. Woo! One fucking return, and I'm sorry for swearing. One fucking return, right? For the nearly how many years I've used, and you ask about like that on one fucking return, and I repeat, right? What about if I get multiple returns? The problem the issue I have is I like dealing things quickly and directly. So what I mean by that is that I tend to buy a lot of stuff like Gigabytes and Western Digital and things like that because you can RMA them yourself, and the turnaround is a lot quicker. So, for example, CCTV surveillance grade hard drive. I think it was a red edition Western Digital 4TB hard drive that failed. Sent it to Western Digital, created an RMA online, sent it to them. Within 10 working days, I've had a replacement back. Wow, absolutely amazing. Same applied with Gigabyte. Gigabyte's got their own facilities in UK. Now, sadly, with Asus, they don't have that. It has to be sent off to Asus, wherever the factory is offshore, basically. It's not within UK. Now, they may have handlers, but those handlers can't honour your replacement or repair the unit and send it back to you. It has to go back to Asus, basically. So that's one thing to remember. All right. So just to wrap up the video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little sticky tape here, point this out, and then ring Abby up and request her for an RMA, basically, for this board. It's pointless me swapping it out because it's got the same defect on the socket as the other one. And I will say it's a defect because at the end of the day, the rest of the socket is in perfect shape up until to a point you come here and you can feel the roughness on the socket, and it is slightly lumpy as well. Okay, so of course there is an issue. That's a legitimate issue, but the board's not been used. I am going to wrap it up and give it a clean and send it back to them. So if you've come across with something like this, or if the board becomes defective after so many months or 6 months, whatever it is, comment me on the thingy, and if you've got a new board and you're unpacking, I know these boards are about a year, a bit older, but people are still building them. And this is the highest ITX board for the X57 chipsets, and I'm running a 3900X processor. I wanted 3950, where the prices of components like graphic cards and various other things have shooting off the roof, basically because of the lockdown we're in at the moment. But what I've got here at the moment is this is a 250 watt power supply. It's a Be Quiet power supply. I believe it's 250, but I'll just confirm that for you because I've got another spare unit here. No, it's a 300 watt. My apologies. Right, sorry. It's this. Okay, it's one of them I'm using. Right. It's a 300 watt power supply. What I'm using. I'm going to put this in a little wrapping bag basically because it's getting knocked around. So these are not cheap power supplies basically. I picked them up off the internet for silly money at one time because of there was a company that was breaking down a lot of ITX PCs basically. Anyway, coming back onto this 300 watt power supply, 16 gig of DDR4. That's a crucial ballistic. Before I drop this, and you got the Asus X57i motherboard, Asus Rahu, whatever it is, the 240 millimeter OLED displayed thingy, basically the all-in-one cooler, basically liquid cooler, I should say. A couple of up here fans. I did cheap out. I didn't go for the Corsair because they're just overly expensive, basically. So there's 1, 2, 3 fans with the controller, and then a separate LED strip. Basically, there's a little fan up here that's just to sort of once I put the glass back on, it's taking out the heat. A couple of things I did. Well, there's a hard drive here as well for an additional backup of all my software. So I will be using this from now and abandoning the other one that I'm using to record at this moment in time. So I'm going to switch it off. Just try and get this right. Right. Okay. Just need. So pay attention to the AM4 socket. If you've got different boards with the X57 chipset, basically, let me know what your thoughts are on those sockets as well, because I haven't got another one to check up on, basically. And I hope that this is not a batch related issue from Asus, and whatever it is. So that's all. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up the video now. Look after yourself, stay well, stay safe, And a little bit just before moving on, sorry, before wrapping up, a little bit disappointed with the way the item was packaged. Basically, it's crushed the box. Basically, see that's crushed the box, and that's how it came. Now, as I said, CCL Online, they're good company. They're absolutely fantastic people. You know, they haven't got time to ass about with things like this. The minute I rung up and had a chat with Abby, she's just issued me an RMA straight away. So listen, I've already done it for you. It's done and dusted. So I have to give them an applause for this. So anybody who wants components, PC components, head towards that way. They're situated in Bradford. I do give them 5 stars for the delivery, for the service, everything absolutely brilliant. They're proper company, and that's how it should be. You know, she's raised me, she asked me what's going on, I explained to her, and the next thing you know is that she's issued an RMA message to send it back to us. We'll get it checked out, and you know, we'll sort it out for you. So I said to her, listen, I've already ordered a second board, and you know, I'm worried about the fact that installing a £500 CPU, that this board could have a defect of some sort, leading to other problems, and I just don't want to take that risk. So that's one of the reasons why I've actually sort of ordered another board just to compare it, basically. So there we go. When you look at it from a top-down view, you can actually spot the blemish and the imperfection of the socket straight away. You know, I wish I can show you this, but the camera may not pick up. No, this webcam isn't as good as you would expect it to be to sort of pick something up like that. Absolutely not. Let's take it a bit closer. No, it's absolute garbage. These Logitech 920E cameras and all this business, basically. It's all right for just for general recording like this, but anything close up is absolute garbage. So yeah, that's all, guys. I don't know if there's anything else I need to talk about. This is getting wrapped up, and I'm going to give it a nice clean and just put it back and send it back to the retailer, basically. As I said, it's not been powered on. Nothing's been done to it. Exactly the same problem as the other one. So it's pointless, right? Okay, swapping out the board, because if I swap out the board, first thing first is that I'll have to reactivate Windows, and I have to reactivate Office as well. So in that sense, I've got to go through a lot of messing around, basically, and I'm not prepared to do that. In terms of drivers and softwares and everything else, should be fine, because it's a straightforward board swap, basically, but I'm not prepared to do that. So just there we are. And one final thing I remember sort of mentioning is that when you return the board, just be careful that these are not smudged off, you know, because these little solder points, basically solders here on all 4 holes for the screws, they're not sort of smudged, because if they are, they'll just, that's what they tried at the retailer, which I had an issue with the Z570 Strix iTCX motherboard, Asus. That they were pinpointing the fact that these are flattened out and all this business. Well, of course it will get flattened out. You're not just hand tightening the screws. You'll tighten it to an extent where the vibration and things like that doesn't loosen the screws off and damage a £400 graphic card. This is P1000 Quadro, right? What I'm using here, and it's a mini, 40 watt power, graph 40 or 50. I think it's 40 watt graphic card. And for this sort of setup, that's what I need, basically, because this is 300 watt, 40 watts gone into this. The AMD CPU will take about 130 watt, and the rest will be more than enough for a 300 watt to feed and run the system, basically, even on full load. So it's just one of those things, but keep an eye on them. Anyway, enough of all this. Look after yourself, stay well, stay safe, and I'll catch up with you in my next video. Bye for now, guys.